Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers everything from the New York Giants, the New York Mets, to movies, TV, comedy, and all kinds of life lessons and stories and whatnot. It's hosted by Giant Mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm an Irish Italian American who graduated from a Catholic high school but is not Catholic. And then I earned a couple of overpriced degrees from a university known for producing doctors and lacrosse players. And then, get this, I became neither. Instead, I like to tell stories. And I usually try to make them funny, get a couple chucks, get a couple faws out of you. You can leave a voicemail at 862-248-1986. That's the last time the New York Giants and the New York Mets won a world championship in the same year. That's 862-248-1986. 0 people have called that line. It's about to expire. I'm thinking I should just relinquish it and just give it up, y'all. It's not worth it. I mean, I'm not paying anything for it, but at the same time, you guys can call that number and leave egregious voicemails. You don't even have to say your name. You can be totally anonymous. You can just roast the piss out of me. That's the roast line. Brought to you by Boston Market. No. You can subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube. I believe it's youtube.com/realcinch or Neal Lynch, or just do a search for Giant Mess. You might come across some weird slime videos featuring kids. That's not me. You can follow me on my official blog, neallynch.com, neallynch.com. Giant Mess is a Facebook page, facebook.com/giantmess. You can follow me on my personal socials, Twitter, Instagram, REALCINCH. That's Real Cinch. And then the pod, if you're watching the video and you just want the audio, you don't like looking at my stupid face, the pod is just about everywhere. Yeah, I'm omnipotent, y'all. God level status. On today's episode, we'll finish up my recap of the trip down to Gallivan's Ferry, South Carolina. Come and raise up. Let's get started. The last time that we talked, you and I, just one-on-one, I had finished up one hell of a planes, trains, and automobile-like experience. My 3-year-old daughter finally made it to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, finally got to drop off my rental car, narrowly avoided murder, and you would think things calmed down after that to a certain extent, but was there any reprieve? Was there any relief for this old fart, this old fuck? Not necessarily, because after I took a nap for 2 or 3 hours after arriving at my sister's house, and then after I dropped off the car at the rental car agency where there were 0 employees willing to identify themselves as employees, my sister was like, hey, we're going to a playground. Hope that's cool. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, like, how much effort does that require out of a 41-year-old divorcee father? Honestly, most playgrounds, you gotta be on your toes a little bit, head on a swivel. You gotta make sure that there are certain parts of the playground, especially with a 3-year-old. I don't think 3-year-olds are really supposed to be on a lot of the playgrounds that Bree has been on, my daughter. But there are certain parts of the playground where it's like, okay, I need to be a little more on the ready, on the balls of my feet, ready to pounce if she slips or can't get a grip, something like that. I just want to make sure I can catch her or get to her and scoop up her brains that are pouring out of her head if she falls and cracks it. So totally forgot about this playground because we've been there before down in South Carolina back when my wife loved me, I think. But Bree was so young at that point. I don't even know if we had Bree at that point. It might have been just my niece. And I remember being big and being like, okay, well, this is big, but there was no one there at the time. It might have been Thanksgiving. So it's like, why would anyone be at a playground at that time? I completely forgot how massive this playground is. It's got to be the world's biggest playground. And it was so goddamn hot, so goddamn humid, and I was so goddamn tired. I couldn't give a single solitary follicle on a rat's patootie. I really couldn't. I put on the suntan lotion or sunscreen on Bree and then myself. I remember the kids just started booking it, and my sister's like, yeah, you're good with them, right? These 3 kids that are under the age of 10, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, 9-year-old, you're good handling them solo while I try to get the baby ready, right? And I'm like, I don't think I have a choice, so sure. But it's like they're booking it to this playground, and I can't book it. there's no more book left in the tank. Like I'm just casually sauntering over, like shuffling over to this playground, just dreading the worst. Cause I'm like, I'm not with it. I'm not present physically at the moment. Please leave a message. I remember walking in the playground and I'm like 50 yards behind them. And this guy who is definitely military walks past me and he's like 0% body fat, perfect posture, like dad of the fucking century, walking past me, and he's like, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like enunciating everything. And I don't even think I looked at him, and I just said, "Sup." Like as monotone as I could be, because I'm setting the tone here with people. Like I know it's what was it? Was it a Saturday or Sunday? I don't even know what day it was. It was a Sunday, right? Sunday, people off of work, like this is a great playground day for most families and most people. And I shuffled in there and I was like, I need everyone on the premises to understand I don't want to be here and I don't care what happens to me on this playground. Like I was expecting to go to jail. I was fully expecting to end up in prison at this playground. I was like, I don't care what happens. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be like, there's as little fathering parenting going on as possible. It's like the barest minimum of parenting going on coming out of me. So that, of course, they have a zip line, because why not? What playground wouldn't be complete without a freaking zip line? And they have like these 4 zip lines, and it's like out of all the things that you could have, I mean, everything on the playground can result in death. I'm convinced of that. I think if everything, we get so concerned about guns and cars, drunk driving, stuff like that. But like playgrounds, so easy. People could die so fucking easily. I'm convinced of that now. Like if you turn your head for 2 seconds, someone calls your name, you turn your head for 2 seconds, your kid has somehow got to the tippity top of the highest point in the playground and is going to swan dive off of it. It's just that easy. And so I'm just like, I can't be as like, not that I'm an agile person to begin with, but I'm not going to be this cat, this Black Panther on this playground. I'm just not. And so there are these zip lines, there's 4 of them, and it's like a bit lawless in the zip line area in that country, in that region. And my nephew and my niece are at the ages where they are somewhat expected. Like my niece specifically is 9. So there's an expectation there. It's like, okay, you're the oldest, and to her credit, she does a great job. Like I think she does a great job of, taking on the responsibility and the duty of being the oldest. Because I was the oldest in my generation, and I was like around this, 6 years older than anyone else in my family, maybe 5-6 years older. And I don't know that I was like this grand guardian of the galaxy for these kids. Like I don't know that I was really looking out for them that much. I mean, I was certainly up for entertaining them and would do the best, with regards to making them laugh and keeping them distracted or occupied. But in terms of their safety, no. I mean, there were definitely a few stints on the IL when I was supervising that whole shebang. So I got to give her kudos and credit for, and she's a girl. So I guess, despite what you think about gender equality or whatever, and as sexist as it is, there's like this weird expectation that because she's a girl that she's going to have these maternal instincts to protect. I don't know. But, and I feel for her because she's like freaking 9, dude. Like, and she changes the baby's diaper and watches the baby, but it's like, you're still 9 and like, you're not trained for this, So, she gets excited and she takes off, and my 5-year-old nephew takes off, and it's like they're used to just the 2 of them and the baby, which is always in the custody or the loving arms of my sister, his mom. So they're not used to the third wheel. And maybe this is a good maybe this is good. Like these are like, my daughter is now the equivalent of training wheels for them for being more aware of this third party, because they do have this younger brother that is a baby that is now starting to walk. So like they're not, they don't look at her as like this fragile 3-year-old that has no wherewithal. They just see her as, oh, it's my cousin Brielle, and like she can do everything that we can do, not realizing that she's not at that stage yet of development. So the zip lines were, I don't know how, we narrowly avoided catastrophe with the zip line, because Brielle just could not fathom or see that like you can't just run across, like the zip lines are going, think of like columns, right? They're going straight back and forth. Like she's running across the field, like it's supposed to be no man's land in that where they cross. The zip line carriers, machines, I don't even know what you'd call it. Like you run through that crossfire and you could, I mean, that's concussion city. You could get a concussion very easily, if not more. And I just remember they just kept, like, there was no, that first 5 to 10 minutes, there wasn't any like, okay, we're going to play on here for about 10, 15 minutes. Then we're going to go over here for 10, 15 minutes. And maybe, I don't know. But it was like, hey, we're going to play on this thing for like 5 seconds. And then we're going to run all the way across the freaking playground to the very opposite end of the playground and play on this thing for 5 seconds. And then we're going to run all the way back to where we were just 10 seconds ago to play on another fucking thing. And I was just like, guys, can we go to station like we're at a gym, like boot camp, like Barry's boot camp, whatever the hell they call it. Like, can we just go like station to station? Like how I eat my dinner. I like to eat the chicken first, and then I'll go on to the rice, and then I'll go on to and I eat each section in order, clockwise. Can we do that on the playground? No. It's like we're going to do the world's worst shuttle runs, knowing that you have zero sleep, Uncle Neal, and can't keep up at all. And I just remember looking and like, so Bree's running, like my nephew runs past the zip lines through the zip line area where you're not supposed to be, and runs past, and then Bree is running after him because she's the slowest, and the zip line, this kid on the zip line comes roaring past and just narrowly misses Brielle, knocking her over, my daughter. It's just like, and I remember just, I didn't even pick up the pace on my walk. I didn't even give a half jog or anything, indicating that I had any level of concern whatsoever. And I remember I casually shuffle past all the other parents at the other end of the zip line, and they're all just giving me a stink eye. And I'm just like, I don't care. Do not care. I don't care what happens to me anymore. It's just like, I was about as nihilistic as I think I've ever been in my life, where it's just like, not only am I am in a whole different other state, I'm in a whole different region. I feel like I have a get out of jail free card because I've had zero sleep and had to go through all these trials and tribulations the past 24 hours. And I just thought, I was like, I can do whatever I want. I'm invincible. So, yeah, that was an experience, but it was just like, and Brielle is, and I don't know if I was this klutzy or clumsy when I was a kid. I just don't think I was, but she is just like, we've already had one trip to the ER where she broke her leg. That was also down in South Carolina. So I have to come to grips, and I don't know if I have yet, with the fact that when we go visit my sister and her family in South Carolina, that there's going to be some medical bills. For sure. Like she's gonna get some bumps, some bruises, some scrapes, some scabs, some scars, physically and emotionally. It's just, there's no avoiding it. It's just rough and rowdy, nonstop rough and rowdy. I got my first chicken bake though at Costco. I have never dined at Costco before. So this is my first dining experience, my first eating experience at Costco. And the chicken bake was pretty decent. It's pretty good. I liked it. I also had my first ice cream. I like that. And then, of course, horrendous diarrhea for the next 24 hours. to the point where I set a new PR. I thought I had set my PR. I was like, there's no way I'm going to ever beat that PR. And yet, lo and behold, I had it in me. So I don't know if I'll be getting the chicken bake or the ice cream at Costco. I might not ever eat at Costco ever again after that outing. And what I failed to mention at the tail end of the last episode, which I probably should bring up now, is throughout this whole ordeal, after yelling at the weird ping pong paddle guy at the baggage drop at Newark Liberty International Airport, after trying to rent a car and having those troubles, after all the weirds up and downs at the rest stop Burger King, after the fiasco at the rental car agency at Myrtle Beach International Airport, I realized that throughout this all, and even at the playground, that I was wearing, that I look kind of like what I look like now, if you can see me on the video. Like I had this is not even a 5 o'clock shadow. It's like a 9:30 shadow. Like no hair being combed or brushed or looking presentable. Just unkempt, just looking like on the edge, partially homeless, like wearing pink shorts, drawstring shorts, because, that's how I roll, and a shirt that says powered by donuts. So if there's ever an outfit that you can't wear while you're upset and trying to get people to do what you want, it's that. Pink shorts and a shirt that says powered by donuts. Dear God. Ugh. But other than the kids kind of going through a never-ending like Iron Man match battle royale, I did suffer a couple of concussions in the pool, that's for sure. They have this mat that they put in the pool, a floating mat, which does not float when I get on it, that's for damn sure. Touched the ground of the pool, touched the floor of the pool when I stood on it, that's for sure. But the kids like run around on the mat, and if you're not paying attention, you gotta pay attention. And I wasn't. And man, Bree did like a flying knee kick to the bridge of my nose at one point. Somehow didn't break my sunglasses, and I was dazed and confused. All right. For a few minutes there. And then my nephew, out of nowhere, I had my back to the wall of the pool, and he just comes straight up and then down on my head. And so I was like short of breath there for a little bit and needed a timeout. So they're relentless. I'm somewhat jealous of their energy, and specifically my nephew's energy, because it's like from the moment his eyes explode open in the morning to the moment that he closes his eyes shut at night, it is full steam ahead, 110,000% at all times. And then he sleeps like a log, because it's like, your body's like, your body is fucking pooped. So we built some bird houses, which was cool. I mean, these are like not, any kind of bird houses that you'll see on $1 million rental or whatever. These are not the high-end bird houses, but it's like enough for a bird to come in, and like, if another bird wants to do like a conjugal visit type thing, I'm sure that can be arranged. But these simple bird houses where it's like, here's some glue, here are a couple nails, have at it. And for 2 of the 3 kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, it's like super interesting at first, and then after step 1, it's all downhill. It's like, nope, I've lost all interest. I got to take my niece to her softball practice. So she's 9, like I said. She's on this traveling softball team, which I've never was on a traveling baseball team when I was younger. So I've always heard stories about travel basketball and travel baseball, how like they're more intense and like more serious. And after going to softball practice, it's like, okay, the rumors are true. The legend is true. Because, well, first I had to drop off my brother-in-law at the auto shop because he had purchased a salvaged Hellcat. Dodge Hellcat? Are you familiar? This guy, dude, I cannot believe listen, he's an ER doc. He sees some shit, okay, at the ER, especially in South Carolina. He sees some stuff, and he's been through some stuff. And I can only imagine what he's seen and done at the ER there, and what he's had to endure, and how I don't know that a lot of people could do what he does. That being said, my man he's done an engine swap on a Scout, like a 1974, 1976 Scout, something like that. He also has a massive pickup truck. It used to be the Power Wagon. I don't know what it is now, but it's huge. My sister has probably the world's largest SUV. The thing is a tank, and that's what I drove my niece to the softball practice, was in this SUV, which was like, I didn't even realize I'm going 70 in like a 40, and like I'm curves ain't no thing. Unreal. But he also has a boat, and he used to have a Corvette, and now he has a Hellcat. It's just like, holy shizer, dude. And that's why he's having this carport built. I don't even know if you could call it a carport because it's bigger than the house. It's still not finished. It was supposed to be done like last November, Thanksgiving or something like that. And so he got this salvaged Hellcat. It was flooded or something like that. And so he purchased it. And then there's this guy that can fix him up real nice. And so that's how he acquired it. But it's still in the transportation from wherever to his place. It got all dinged up. So he had to drop it off at the auto shop. So I dropped him off at the auto shop. Took my niece to the softball practice. And it was 3 hours long, which has to be a crime. Has to be. That's jail time. That's a fine and jail time, maybe parole. I don't understand that. I don't remember being 9 and going through a fucking 3-hour practice. And the kicker, they didn't hit at all. No one picked up a bat and no one hit for the entire 3 hours. Are you kidding me? It was all defensive drills for 3 frickin' hours. And in the meantime, I was getting eaten alive by gnats, I guess. Not eaten, because I guess gnats don't bite, but it was it's just annoying enough to be like, okay, well that bothers me. I don't want that on my ear. I don't want that on my face. I don't want that on me, period. And so it got to the point where I must have, and this is where you can probably, if you were at that practice, can be like, okay, yeah, that guy is not from the South. Because everyone else was handling it with aplomb, just like in stride, not a problem. Meanwhile, it was like I'm literally pacing back and forth because I think the more I move, like the less chance they'll have to land on me, like trying to hit a moving target, even though I'm a big moving target. So I'm like pacing, and I have my hat, and I'm just like constantly swatting my hat, and it just looks like the end is nigh. Like I'm holding one of those signs that says the end is nigh, the end is near, and I'm just babbling about prophecies and verses. So I don't get that. And they had this like, and I have to say hardo. It was like the world's biggest hardo. A guy who was probably maybe in his late 20s, early 30s, maybe he was in his early 20s, I don't know. A guy who's looked like he was probably a D1 baseball player. If he wasn't, he was probably the best D3 player in the region, on this side of the Mississippi. And he criticized the fuck out of every single thing that every girl was doing, as if these girls are like in college or even in high school. I could understand going through a lot of this stuff when they're in junior high, maybe in high school, getting that critical with them. They're 9. They're 9, dude. And I understand it's a travel team, and I guess the expectations are higher than a rec league, but at the same time, dude, they're 9. I mean, talking about, and the best was, because I was kind of half watching the Mets game, because DeGrom, I think it was his first or second appearance back in the rotation. And I remember any time that he was like, watch me do it, I was like, I made it a specific task, action, move to watch this guy. And he's like, watch me do it. And like seeing if he would mess up. And he messed up probably more than half the time. And it was just like, oh, you're doing the thing that you said not to do. Interesting. You grown ass man. Yeah. So I thought it was insanity. You can't do that. And then, so the next day we got to feed chickens for the first time. That was sweet. That was cool. That they got chickens. Like my brother-in-law, I don't know. I consider myself a fairly simple man. It's like, you give me a burrito and a movie, maybe some popcorn, and I'm good. Like, I don't need much more in life, I don't think. This dude is like, we're going to move to Wyoming and we're going to raise buffalo. We're going to have a cattle ranch and raise buffalo. And so he decided to get chickens. So they ordered 9-10 chickens. And I've seen them now grow from chicks to full-blown hens, I guess. Rhode Island Reds is the kind that they have. And they're beautiful creatures. And I remember he built the chicken house himself with bare goddamn hands, like a savage. And, my niece goes in and feeds them every morning. So I joined her on this time around. You forget sometimes that dinosaurs came from birds or birds came from dinosaurs. I don't know the order of things anymore because these are little dinosaurs. They are. I've never really seen a chicken up close and personal with no chicken wire in between us where I could like really get the full frontal, the full POV front row and whatnot. And they're like, you think of chickens as like, they're just like, whatever, they're chickens. Yeah, I eat chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. These things are like kind of badass. Like they were kind of pecking at my niece as she was trying to feed them. But I got to see their talons up close, and it's like, the reference that I have is what's his name? Foghorn Leghorn. That dude is just like, he's got big feet. He got he got the little claws at the end, but like you're not gonna do anything with those claws. I looked at these talons up close and personal. It's like, whoa, dude. I mean, it doesn't look like something that belongs on a chicken. So I can only imagine if you like really, I don't know what it would take per se, but like you could get fucked up by those talons. I got some video of it and I need to post it because it's like I got it in 4K and you can see all the detail. And it literally looks like, when in Jurassic Park, when the T-Rex like takes a step in the mud when it's raining, like it looks exactly like that. You can see like the scales and shit. It's like, whoa. We tried to do another craft. It was like whatever, because you can't, you really have to mix it up with these kids, with 3 kids like that, because you can't just sit inside and watch TV all day, especially when the one kid has zero volume modulation. It's just like the kid might have hearing problems just because like he can't tone it down with the volume. And of course, my brother-in-law works the midnight shift sometimes, so he'll come home at 7 in the morning and then he'll nap from 7 to like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So we usually try and like keep quiet, but more times than not, we'll go over to my mom's place, which is in the house in the backyard, the mother-in-law suite, and we did popsicle stick art. You won't believe this, but you probably will. I was the one who's the most into it. Like it's for the kids. Don't forget it's for the kids. And they were probably tapped out after each got 5 sticks. And I think they tapped out halfway through the first one. And meanwhile, I was there like, wheeling and dealing, putting some serious Bob Ross masterpiece like touches on these popsicle sticks. Of course, one had to be a Giants player. It honestly looked like if Cam Newton were a New York Giant. I don't know why I went with that. And then I tried to do my mother dressed in her Mets gear. That came out all wrong. I did like some kind of Guido type dude, some like Jersey Shore meathead type guy, and like some kind of Jersey Shore meathead type lady. I was like, I guess they're a couple because why not? And then there was another. I tried to be as diverse as possible, and I drew a lady with a short skirt and tall boots. I am so summertime's an interesting time for me. It's just like I can't turn it off, if you know what I mean. It's just the level of just, I said this like after I came home from Block Island, I signed up for all the dating apps because it was like, yeah, how many freaking thong bikinis am I supposed to look at and not want to do something about it? You know what I mean? And then it's just you go on these dating apps and it just gets the engine going. I don't know how other way to put it because I don't want to say the H word because then I'll get bonked. I'm already getting bonked by people. I can feel it. But I got maybe a little too aggressive with the popsicle sticks. And it was leaning towards the erotic. I'll put it that way. I didn't mean it for it to go that way, but the mind goes where it goes, man. You know, I can't control it. Yeah, I don't know if I kept those or if I immediately buried those in the backyard. But we were supposed to go on the boat. Usually when we go down there, we usually go on the boat. And so we got on the boat, and it's like, what's interesting about South Carolina is the timing does not add up for me. The distance does not add up for me because I think about it in terms of New Jersey and Northeast, right? So, for example, to go on the boat, they have to drive about an hour. So they're driving on a road for an hour with this boat. An hour to water. If I had a boat in New Jersey, would be the equivalent of like me right now. In Princeton, if I had a boat and wanted to use it, I'd have to drive an hour to the shore, and I'd be like, do I really want to do that? But it just feels different when it's in South Carolina and you're going from the rural boondocks to the drop-off point, to the dock. It just doesn't feel like it's as long of a haul, even though it's the same time. It's an hour. So my brother-in-law gets the boat ready. I don't know how to get the boat ready, and the kids are not helping, and I don't even think my sister knows how to help, which is crazy because they've had the boat for so long, but that's just how my brother-in-law operates. So like, I think he's already in a bad mindset because he's had little to no sleep. You know, he had a nap for I don't know how long, and then got the boat ready by himself, even though he fully expects all these like Nimrods that are just standing there and watching him to pitch in and help, even though I don't know what the hell to do. And so we drive for an hour to this new place to get all set up and put the boat in the water. And we get there, and my nephew's like, I gotta poop. And my sister's just like, what? Where are you gonna poop? And so I'm like, I'll take him. It's all right. So I take my nephew and my daughter, go to this like very like wooden shack out of Deliverance type thing that's along the dock. And I asked the guy, I was like, hey, is there a restroom? He's like, yeah, go over there. Walk over, and it's like I want to say it's a camper type situation. It's like modular, portable. It's not a porta potty, bigger than a porta potty, but it looks like a mobile home, but not as big. So bigger than a porta potty, smaller than a mobile home. And open the door, and immediately this huge like green cloud of wafts into our faces of just pure stink, just stank. And there's a shower and there's a toilet, but it's not like your normal toilet that you have at your house or apartment. It's like a toilet you'd see in a porta potty. So just seeing and the kid, that my nephew is like, all right, can you wipe me? And I'm like, no, I don't think you're 5. You can't wipe yourself. Like, I already wiped my 3-year-old daughter, and I don't feel great about that. And then like, I'm not going to wipe you. We come back. So mission accomplished. He sucked it up and got it done. But the interaction between my nephew and my daughter in that whole camper, it's just like, oh, you got to poop? Are you pooping? Is it hard? Like, it's just like the level of conversation was riveting. So we go back, all tidy up, and we go back to where my brother-in-law is trying to, disembark. I don't even know what you call it, and can't get the boat started. Can't get the boat started. The battery died, and he's steamed, and he just took off. He was just like, nah, I'm not. I can't believe this, and he just took off with my niece. So my sister and I are like, let's just get a drink because the kids are getting thirsty. So let's just go over to that outdoor bar area. And so we go to this outdoor bar area, and there's like no one there. But it's definitely not a family-oriented bar. It's not like, I guess Margaritaville. Maybe it would be a family bar. I don't know. It's like, this is probably where ye mateys come and exchange STDs. But at my kind of place, like I think it was like very cool. Like, I love outdoor bars and especially love outdoor bars on the dock by the water. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So my daughter orders milk or an apple juice, and my nephew orders a soda. I forget what my sister ordered, maybe an iced tea. And I see this pink can, and I'm like, okay. I like when things stand out, are unique, have a funny name. I'm willing to get jiggy with that. Okay, I'm willing to experiment a little bit. You know, I'm open to new experiences and tastes and flavors and all that shit. So it's like a pink can, and I see Dirty Myrtle, and I'm like, the name sounds familiar. But I was like, I gotta try it. I don't think I've tried it before. And so I was like, yeah, I'll have a Dirty Myrtle. And the guy looks at me and he goes, you know that's a double IPA, right? As if to say, you shouldn't order that. And I think you're expecting something different because it's in a pink can and it looks cool and there's a flamingo and you think, oh, this will be like light, crisp, refreshing, tropical, exotic. And it's like, he's like, this is a double IPA. Like, you're going to hate it. And sure enough, yeah, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I took one sip and I was like, this blows. I'm just not an IPA guy. I've never liked IPAs. I know there's the all-day IPA that a lot of my friends like, and it's just doesn't click with me. It doesn't ring true. I don't know. Very weird. But I think the long and short of it is, that's illegal. You can't have a double IPA in a pink can called the Dirty Myrtle and expect it to taste like that. I mean, the equivalent of like a stubbed out cigarette and like chewing tobacco spit dip. I don't know. Not that I do a lot of drinking that, but I've been in some dive bars and I've tasted a lot of things, and that's low on the tier. If we're ranking tier ranking, it's towards the bottom of the ocean. You know, I think there was a lot of frustration going around. Luckily, Lightyear was the first night that Lightyear was available on Disney Plus, so we got to watch that. Kind of weird not having Tim Allen be the voice. They had Chris Evans instead, but the longer I watched it, the more I heard his voice, the more it made sense. I was like, yeah, he's Lightyear. He's Buzz Lightyear for sure. And I really enjoyed the plot, the premise. I don't know that I'm spoiling it when I say, you know, basically Lightyear crash lands he makes a mistake trying to do something, crash lands on this exotic planet, foreign planet, and is trying to find a way home to the home planet. And in order to do that, he has to travel the speed of light and formulate some kind of crystal thing. But it's like every time he goes out in the ship and travels light speed, he comes back and it's like 5 years have passed or 10 years have passed, or like time has passed. It's almost like, was it Interstellar or Gravity? I think it was Interstellar. Spoiler alert, I guess. It came out 8 years ago. Get on it. But where, you know, they went to, for every minute or hour they were on this planet, a year went by. I was like, oh, snap. So that was cool. I enjoyed that part of it. And I won't give away the ending or any of the plot points, but interesting choice that they went with. And I was curious to see who they were going to have, what the big reveal was going to be. And I wasn't like overly excited by it at first, because I was like trying to think back, you know, my brain, you know, now that I've had my daughter, I didn't see any of the Toy Story movies before I had my daughter, and then I watched them all 1,000,000 times. So it's like, as I'm watching it, I'm trying to like put the pieces of the puzzle together and connect everything back to what I saw in the previous movies. And yet it's still connected with me. It's still connected with me on a level. And it's crazy that these movies that are specifically targeted to and made for kids still have that message that like resonates with grown people, with adults that are going through some shit. And it's like, it spoke to me in a lot of ways, in that, you know, we all have choices, and trying to make the best choices moving forward. There were some moments where it was like, Disney, you had to Disney, didn't you, Disney? You Disney. Which is especially funny, you know, because I don't know that it bothers me so much, but I know that, you know, my family's a little more on the conservative side. So I know, like, you know, we've had talks about a lot of the stuff that Disney's been doing, you know, in terms of stuff that might not be appropriate for kids that are a little above their pay grade, you know, for a 9-year-old especially, or a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old. Turning red, for example. And then, you know, with Lightyear, there was some stuff where it's like, okay, it's for kids. And, you know, I don't know that I disapprove, but I think there was definitely some tense moments in the living room there from the conservative side of the family. I recommend Lightyear, especially if you have kids, but even if you don't, a lot of great themes and messages and lessons. One of my brother-in-law and sister's friends came over with his daughter. All the kids went in the pool, but then there was a storm coming. And I gotta tell you, and this guy, he's cool. He has a video series, mainly just on YouTube, but maybe it's on Facebook too, called The Bro Tender, and where he comes up with signature cocktails or drinks recipes, but he does so as a character. So like, I know he did one for Razor Ramon, and he had a drink called the Razor's Edge, and just like right up my alley, perfectly like targeted to guys like me that were into wrestling as a kid, but I love drinking and, you know, melding the two, marrying the two. Like, so highly recommend that, but not much tickles my fancy that much anymore. But top 5 moment of my life, maybe not top 5. I don't know, top 10. Being on the back porch of my sister's house in the middle of a rainstorm where there's lightning crashing very close by. Like, you know that whole you're supposed to do to determine how close a lightning bolt is to you? You know, you see the lightning and then you're supposed to count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. And if you get to 5, I think if you get to 5 seconds, that means it's a mile away. So anything less than that, it's less than a mile away, and you need to like be on the lookout. This was like, you see the lightning, you hear the thunder. And we were smoking cigars and drinking pina coladas and like Bang energy drink mixed drinks and margaritas. And it was like, and the kids, I mean, my niece was petrified. And I think my nephew and daughter were a little on edge, but like the guys were loving it. Like the three of us were like, it felt like it was some kind of ancient primal connection to the weather or something, or Mother Nature or something like that. Mother Nature was giving us a wink or something like that. I don't know. It just brought out the machismo in us, you know, to go back to the Razor Ramon theme. But I highly recommend it. If you, I mean, obviously shelter up a little bit. Like, I don't think we were gonna get struck. But hot damn, that was cool. That was like a cool moment. It just seemed like super loud. I mean, they live in a field. Like there's a tobacco field on the right, there's a soybean field behind them and to the left or whatever. There's not many houses around them, if at all. They're just starting to build them now. And it was just like light flash and I mean, the loudest thunder I've ever heard. And just sitting there like smoking a cigar and drinking a drink like, quite the show, old chap, quite the show. We ended up watching The Man from Toronto with Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson, a movie that if I were by myself, I would not have ever watched. But because I know like my brother-in-law and my sister have, they've got me back into movies like that. So for a long time, it's like I watched movies like that when I was a kid and then in high school and maybe not so much college. College, it seemed like that's when it started to get a little weird. But, you know, for the most part, like, you know, from the age of 5 or 6 through high school is like, you know, we didn't have Rotten Tomatoes. There were no Rotten Maters, okay? And I feel like I've been so like strict about what I watch based on Rotten Tomatoes that I've forgotten about these kind of sweet spot comedies. It's like, it's not groundbreaking by any means. It's fairly formulaic, but it's funny. Like, there's too many of these comedies. I mean, I wrote a whole blog about it, how comedy died, like, in 2017 when, like, Get Out was considered the top comedy. It's like, what? Okay. Like, interesting comedy. You keep passing over, at least for me, when you keep passing over these movies where it's like, they're just funny. They make you laugh. It's like you've probably seen before. You probably know what's going to happen. It's kind of predictable. But, like, it's got laughs. And that's kind of what The Man from Toronto was. Like, Woody Harrelson's awesome. Kevin Hart's great, as always. And it's like, you know, a lot of the plot points or beats are kind of dumb. But it's like, you know, it makes you smile and it makes you laugh as long as you have a sense of humor. No, it's not reinventing the wheel, but sometimes, you know, the wheel's pretty legit, dude. Have you tried wheels lately? Not bad. I'd say there's nothing else on. You need a laugh. I would turn on The Man from Toronto, but I think it just kind of spoke to them as well. And plus there's that Woody Harrelson's character drives like a pretty legit car. I want to say it's like a 69 Dodge Charger, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I mean, the plot is Kevin Hart is kind of like this salesman type dude who is working at a gym, but is trying to do, he's kind of an entrepreneur. He has all these ideas and he's trying to like get them off the ground, but none of them are working or being successful. And so he wants to take his wife, maybe for their anniversary or something like that. He wants to take her away, or for her birthday, I think that's what it is. Take her away, for a vacation. They rent a cabin. He ends up walking into the wrong cabin, and he witnesses like this dude about to be murdered. And the people there think he's the man from Toronto, who is really Woody Harrelson. Hijinks ensue. So it's a case of mistaken identity. It's nothing like, again, pioneering or innovative, but like Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson have pretty good chemistry, and you get to know Woody Harrelson a little bit more. Some pretty decent action scenes, some fighting scenes. I think the one that stood out to me was the one in the gym. I don't want to give anything away, but when you get to that scene, the fight scene in the gym, you're gonna like the way you feel. I guarantee it. I talked about how the kids get rowdy on this mat in the pool, and so I ended up getting suckered into that because I had got a couple Trulies in me. My brother-in-law was cranking out the frozen cocks left and right. Pina coladas and margaritas and all that good stuff. More sugary drinks than I'm accustomed to. I try to like completely rule out. I'm a vodka soda guy. Vodka club soda. I'm not a gin and tonic, which has sugar, energy drink, full sugar energy drink and liquor guy. I'm not a liquor and like brown soda, Coca-Cola guy anymore. I'm not a pina colada guy. So like I had a lot of sugar and alcohol in me. And so my brother and I was laying on the mat, and I was like, I'm going to do this like frog splash on him, crossbody splash, whatever you want to call it. And so I jump, and like my toe, and this toe has been messed up for a while. It like cracks every once in a while. I'm pretty sure it's broken already. But I remember after I do this frog splash on him, I was like, all right, the toe feels a little weird. And then it plummeted into extreme like discomfort, swollen stiffness, pain to the point where I couldn't really walk. I was limping around like crazy. And my mom sees me and goes, oh, you have gout. Yep, my father had it. My grandfather had it. You have gout. And I was like, I've had gout before, haven't I? And I do this anytime I have a long weekend or a vacation where it's like I'm drinking a lot every day and probably not sticking to my diet and doing a lot of things that are just like generally unhealthy for my body. Like my legs and my ankles and my feet tend to swell up. And I thought, oh, that's gout. And I've always heard about, gout being so painful. And I was like, this is not painful. It's like unsettling for sure. And it's like, probably need to get this checked out, and there's some discomfort, and it's like, it's not great, but I'm not in like pain. And then this was like pain. And I was like, this is gout. Okay, this sucks. And I spent like probably the rest of the night into the morning just like researching gout, like home remedies, how do I get rid of it? What shouldn't I do? What should I do? Horrific. And it's bananas. I don't understand how it affects like the big toe. Like, why is it that area that gout is fucking you up? Like, of all the areas that it could be, like the ball of the big toe? And like, it's still not 100% that was more than a week ago. Yeah. I'd say about like 16 days ago? No. 8 days ago. It was a long time ago, and it can last for 14 days, I've read, with the most pain being in the first 2 or 3 days, but it was just like, so this is gout, and now this is what I call gout volume 69. Holy fuck, this is awful. And my mom just like nonstop being like, yeah, my father had it. Every time he drank and go off on his trips, and he drank and he'd eat lobster, and he's like, da-da-da-da, he'd be all grumpy, and I'm like, well, lady, have you ever had gout? It sucks. I couldn't even sleep that night. It was literally like, it's such a small part of your body that's affected, but there's no way for you to get comfortable. It's not like your elbow. I'd much rather take gout in my elbow, or like even my knee maybe. Just something that's not my toe. Even the way I laid in bed, the way that like the bed sheet hits it, it causes you to be like, oh, kill me now. I was like, what do I need my foot for? Let's chop it off, baby. You're an ER doc, right, bro? My brother-in-law, you're an ER doc. You got the equipment. I'm sure you do. Even if you don't, you're a redneck. You could make something. I've seen you made a chicken coop. You can cut off my foot. No problem. I mean, that's the level I was at. Was like, I don't really need my right foot, dude. My feet, my ankles in general, my lower half. No one needs to see it. I don't need it. Let's just keep it moving. So we talked about timing and distance and all that. Here's another example. Last year, my niece went to a horse camp. I guess it was like within an hour's drive distance. And this go around, I guess it was full or it got canceled. And so they really wanted her to have a week-long sleepaway camp experience, which is great. And she loves it. And so they picked a place in North Carolina, which is a 4-hour drive away. Now, I mean, I went to summer camp. I wasn't a big summer camp person just because I have a shitty personality and I'm basically like a hermit, grumpy old men, but not in old man form. So I never really embraced it that much. I remember like playing a lot of, was it tetherball? Loved archery, but there was also like, oh, my dick's bigger than yours. My balls are so big it can fill this room. And it's like, well, I'm going to take a shower in my swimsuit. Hope that's cool. Going bananas over whatchamacallit in Charleston Chew, making sure, like, do I have enough credits or money? It was almost like prison. Like, do I have enough credits for a pack of cigarettes? Like, do I have enough credits for Charleston Chew or whatchamacallit? And fawning over girls who were not into me. Story of my life, dude. Anyway, summer camp wasn't really my thing. I've heard stories of summer camp, but I never heard like stories of like, oh yeah, I went to a summer camp that was 4 hours away. And I thought about it. I was like, that's like me sending my daughter to a summer camp in like the DC area. It's just like, damn, that's far away. That's so far away. Like, what if something happens? I have Final Destination brain at all times, so it's like I expect the worst, obviously. That's why I'm like scared shitless to do anything in my life, because I just figure it's just gonna end up with me getting my head cut off. So like to have my daughter be 4 hours away at a summer camp for a week by herself, I don't know if I could do it, but she loved it. So Sunday, when they were driving my niece to camp, that's when I was supposed to have my flight home. And this has happened multiple times now. My sister lives about an hour from the airport, Myrtle Beach Airport. And without fail, every time we're on our way to the airport, and we're probably like halfway there, we get a notification saying, oh, your flight's delayed. Your flight's delayed. And it happened yet again. So the flight's delayed. We're on the way to the airport, halfway there, and the flight's delayed. And it's like, all right, well, we'll just keep going, and we'll get there, and maybe we'll have a dinner, and we'll make a nice little last dinner situation. Just let's not go all Judas on each other. That kind of situation. Get to the airport and get another notification it's canceled. So we went all the way to the airport, and now it's like, shit. And now I'm thinking, do I rent another car and make the overnight drive back, knowing that I gotta work Monday morning? Like, am I just gonna do a full 9-hour work day on zero sleep? That's gonna get a little weird. And then Bree's gonna have to be at daycare after having junk sleep in the car all night. I don't know if that's a great idea either. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna rent the car. But yet again, Spirit Airlines, go jump off that 5 or 6 star hotel in Dubai. Yeah, just jump off that. Good. As an airline, collective airline, it'd be great. Or just fly into the sun or a black hole. Your pick. Either one will suffice. So yeah, I was furious with Spirit Airlines yet again. We ended up getting Sonic, and I'm like, I have gout officially. All those times I thought I had gout, and I would joke about having gout, are laughable at this time, because I am like knee deep, toe deep in the gout, and it fucking hurts. So I was like, I can't do any more red meat, I guess. So I can't do a burger. I'm not gonna do fries. I'm gonna try and be somewhat healthy. So I got the chicken fingers, the chicken tenders, and man, oh man, were they awful. I'm talking about like worse than school cafeteria. I mean, some school cafeterias aren't so bad, but I'm trying to think of the worst chicken finger. Like, try and think of chicken fingers at a third-rate pizza place. It's like pizza places, they make pizza. They don't they don't really do much of else that well. If they do, fantastic. But I would say, Sonic is like burgers, right? Chicken fingers is like, it wasn't Chick-fil-A, So I guess, I don't know. I was expecting like a step down from Chick-fil-A, and I got like prison tenders. The tenders they serve at a federal penitentiary. Ended up having another cigar. I have found that I love smoking cigars, and that's bad news for me because it's like the last thing I need in my life. Like, I need more fruits and vegetables, less drinking, more activity, and now it's like I thinking about joining a cigar of the month club. And just hanging out on my back patio and reminiscing. I reminisce sometimes. I finally came out and told my brother-in-law and sister that I was on some dating apps, and they were like, yeah, you just need to get back in fighting shape. And I was like, I don't know that I was ever really in fighting shape. I mean, I was in better shape, where I could actually look at myself in a picture and not hurl. So that's cool. But he was saying I should take jujitsu, and I'm thinking to myself, I immediately, my mind went to like the foot fist way. Is that what it is with what's his name, Kenny Powers? And I don't know, I can't bring myself to do it because I picture like I'm gonna have to be beginner's level, and like they're gonna pair me with like 8-year-olds. Or like 12-year-olds, and they're gonna fucking demolish me, and I'm just gonna be like, what am I doing with my life? And I'll probably get injured, and I'll sign up like for this really expensive goddamn class, and in class 1 I'm gonna injure myself, and it's gonna be like, well, that was money well spent. So I don't know about all that, but my brother-in-law's like fucking alpha man, dude. My sister has him in her phone as Krull Warrior King from 10 Things I Hate About You. I mean, the guy's like big Joe Rogan guy, has a like unbelievable bow that he like, I can't even shoot. That's how strong he is. And he's going on a trip to Alaska to hunt like caribou or moose or elk or some shit. And it's just like, I don't know how you do what you do, because I'm not equipped for any of it. But we did get to watch Prey, the new Predator movie, which I thought to myself, do we need another Predator movie? And if I hadn't like looked into it a little bit, I don't think I ever would have watched it, because I was like, I think it's run its course pretty much. It's like they've tried it, Alien versus Predator, Alien versus Predator 2. And it's like they can't seem to recapture that feeling from the first one or even the second one. And I was talking to my brother-in-law about it. Like, Predators, I think it came out in 2009 or 2010, was not bad. And it was actually, I think it could have been a lot better if they had fleshed out the characters just a tiny bit more. Because you look at like the first Predator, and it's like Schwarzenegger, Weathers, Ventura, the Native American dude, and the kind of nerdy guy with the glasses. And it's like everyone was a character, and they were memorable, and they all had great lines and parts and scenes. I think that Predators almost captured that again, where it's like, we're going to take like the most badass person from the most badass possible, I guess, I don't know if you call it professions or like fighting techniques, but like a head dude in the Yakuza, and like a Navy SEAL, and like an assassin, and and dropping them on the planet for the Predator to hunt. And like, awesome. It's just like, I think maybe the actors that they got weren't that great, maybe. And you had Adrian Brody, who held his own and did very well, but it was like, it's Adrian Brody. Like, you don't really equate him with being an action star. Is it going to be like a watered down Predators? Because they're taking a different bent with it, a different angle, right? They're not going the AVP route. They're now going back in time to the 18th century, late 18th century, and it's going to be focused more on like the Native American community. And I was like, all right, that's kind of interesting. But I'm still so sour, like, what is it? The Predator? I think it was the most recent one, maybe. And everyone was hype about that because it was like, I think Shane Black was directing it. And it was like, okay, now we're going to get back to the roots. We're going to get back to what made the Predator or Predator, the 87 release, so awesome, the original. And it just kind of missed the mark a little bit, I mean, it had, what's his name? Michael Keegan-Key from Key and Peele, who I love. The dude from Narcos, who I like, but still not really connecting, just missed the mark. I think Olivia Munn was in that too. But this one, Prey, I think it kind of just got back to the basics. It was like, well, we're not just gonna like copy and paste with substituting in a Native American girl for Arnold Schwarzenegger, but there were little nuances and tips of the hat to the original, I think, playing with the idea of lowering the body temperature where you think it's going to be the mud and it turns out to be something else. And I think they went back to practical effects for a lot of things, which I appreciated. I just like practical effects more. I think that's just a product of growing up with them, maybe, because the CGI, I watched The Black Phone last night, and one of the very first scenes is a baseball game, like a little league maybe baseball game, and they have the pitcher throw the ball and the fucking ball is CGI. Come on, guy, you can't throw a freaking ball. You can't have someone throw a ball at a catcher. You can't fake the funk. Come on. That completely, it took me a while to rebound from that. And then the guy ends up hitting the ball, the hitter hits the ball, and that's CGI. It's like, you couldn't afford someone off camera to throw the ball over the fence? You had to CGI that shit too? Very weird move. Very weird. Anyway, not a ton of CGI. There were some moments, and I had this kind of criticism of The Boys as well, where it's like a moment where it's like everything leading up to this moment would indicate that the villain or the antagonist would take out the protagonist. What is preventing those kind of scenes? Always throw me off, because it's like the antagonist has the protagonist dead to rights, not going anywhere, no hope of escape, and then the antagonist just doesn't follow through sometimes for a bullshit reason. And I thought that was going to be the case here with Prey, but then the more you watch it, the more you're like, oh yeah, the basic plot or storyline for this Native American girl is that she's not seen as a warrior or a hunter. She's seen as a gatherer. And so it's her trying to prove her worth and her value and be seen, which I know can sound pretty woke, but that's the reality of the situation. If she wants to fucking hunt lions, odds are that because she's a chick, especially in the late 18th century, that's just not in the cards. But I thought she was awesome. Her brother was awesome. I thought there was some good back and forth there. Interesting dynamic with kind of a subplot or side plot with the French trappers, because they ended up being a major part of the film as well. Really like like I said, the practical effects, the design of the Predator itself was cool, because it didn't look exactly like the other ones, and there was some interesting, it looked taller and leaner. It's basically a prequel, right? Because it takes place way before the original. So I was thinking are they gonna do subtle nods to what you end up seeing in the later movies? And I don't think they necessarily did. I was expecting a reveal, but that's not what this movie was. They certainly were. They honored certain parts, like I said, of the original, but it was its own movie, and they weren't trying to be overly ambitious with it. It was like, she wants to be a hunter, she's being hunted, and we'll go from there. So very cool movie. I liked it a lot. And I was trying to think how I would now rank the Predator movies. And obviously the first original is number one. What do you put number two? Because I guess you kind of have to put Predator 2 at number 2, but is Predators is it 2B to Predator 2? And I was saying, if you don't have Danny Glover in Predator 2, I think it's probably below Predators. I think Danny Glover does such is just so awesome in general, and so having him in Predator 2 was huge. So I'd say they're 2A, 2B. But after seeing Prey, I'm wondering if I wouldn't put Prey above Predators and still have Predator 2 at 2, and maybe even considering putting Prey above Predator 2. I don't know. It's probably recency bias, but the Predator, I think you have to put, that's the next level. And then the AVP movies are just man, you really screwed the pooch on that one, huh? Both of those, just come on, you're better than that. That's a big old recommend from me. Monday, so we stayed the night, went back, stayed the night at my sister's place, woke up, worked in the morning, and then we're on our way to the airport again, and I get another notification that the flight's delayed. And I was just I'm never getting home. I live here now. And I was like, oh, fuck. Now, if this is canceled again, I think I gotta suck it up and just as soon as it's canceled, go rent a car and then just try and get home and maybe nap for like a couple hours and suck it up and power through the next day. But luckily it was not canceled. Of course, I got there to the airport like more than 4 hours before my flight time, and they wouldn't accept my package drop. So I went from the world's longest snake line, where it took me an hour plus just to get to the front of the line, just to be told like, oh, sorry, to there's no line and they won't take my bag because I'm too early. So it was fun trying to entertain my 3-year-old daughter for 4 hours in an airport. And I think she held her own, you know. I think I just had to get some food in her, basically. So yeah, that was the trip. It's funny though, even with the gout, I decided to like be active and go for a walk and try and jog, which that was interesting because my legs felt like lead within a minute of jogging. And so I ended up not going back and showering. I just decided just to jog to Chipotle, which is right down the street. And I was wearing my knee brace. I'm sweating, and I realized I forgot my wallet. Because why would you bring your wallet on a run? I just didn't think about it. And so I've never, and this is a nice little tell on how old I am and how I'm just way past my prime. I've never paid for anything with my phone before, which I'm pretty sure anyone under the age of 30. So the iPhone came out in 2007, Apple Pay. I'd say if you were born in the 90s, for sure, you've paid for something with your phone, for sure. And there's a certain, I think Gen Z like exclusively pays for things with their phone. I don't think they ever like have a physical credit card. But I've always had my wallet and I've always had my credit card. I've never been in this situation. So I was like, shit, I hope they take Apple Pay. I don't see any signs or anything, but I do see this like machine. I've never used the machine before. And so I'm standing there and I'm drenched in sweat because I'm out of shape as fuck. I'm holding my phone and you know, the people that work there are Gen Z, like they're high school, maybe college. And so the cashier, I just hold out my phone to her and I was like, my credit card's in my Apple Wallet. How do I use it? I've never felt older in my life. I think she couldn't contain herself because I don't even think she answered. I think she immediately turned and went into the kitchen. Because she couldn't contain herself. And someone else was like, yeah, it's just that machine right there. But they didn't say like, okay, you need to tap it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like waving my phone. It was kind of like when we went to the beach. This is peak COVID times. So you had to like everything you had to do was scan the QR code. And like seeing the older people not realizing they had to take a picture or like open their camera app to actually scan the QR code, and just watching them like kind of wave their phone over the sandwich board that had the QR code. That was me with the fucking Apple Pay machine. I was just like, something's got to beep at some point, right? Like I'm waving. There's got to be a sensor or something. And no, it turns out you had to actually tap it. And of course, they tapped it way too hard and almost broke the goddamn screen. But I've never felt older. And it's like, yeah, you're officially old. Like you're officially old. You know what? Good for me. I think I've always been a curmudgeon, and so I'm now coming into my own. My age is aligning with my personality.